wage cut, which ain't unheard of in the private sector. You know, this man right here is taking a month a day off. I don't know what that translates to, what, 5% pay cut that was forced upon him.
Yeah,
but
we had enough say so.
Right. You know, most of our teachers are college educated. They're sensible, reasonable, logical people. And all your constituents is taking pay cuts. Revenues everywhere are down. It's just not for y'all, it's everybody. And now we're asked to pay more. Heck, I mean, ask them. If you got to go to go through a lawsuit, yeah, that's one thing. But ask them. They're reasonable people. Did you ask them if they'd take a pay cut?
Well, again, part of it's governed by state law, and the teachers are under a little bit different. And I've even got a question in my mind. I don't know. I'm just telling you from where I see it and what I see and all that. The first place is there's a pay schedule for teachers based on years of experience and the educational level, and that's mandated by the state that they have to be paid by that, and a portion of that's funded by the state, a portion is funded by us. There are some things that could be done and can be done, and I'll address that in a second. I'm going to start with the pay scale. So right now, we have to adhere to the state pay scale and paying the teachers. Also, unlike some of the people that are state employees, the teachers sign a 190-day contract to work. I'm not sure that the 3 furlough days, if they took it to court, I don't know what would happen. I'm not sure if that's constitutional or unconstitutional. And again, right now, what you're saying, I think the teachers have taken in stride to a degree, and they've accepted the 3 furlough days, and they're doing it. You know, if you come back and said we're going to take a month out, I think you'd have a lawsuit. Again, that would have to come from the State Board of Education and the state legislature.
I'm not taking any days out. I'm just asking. Where do you think stuff is cut? Where you share this burden with the taxpayers that are already being hit.
And I understand that, but part of that is because there's a difference because of the contract that they have signed and what the state says has to be done. In other words, it's state law. A lot of folks think we've got this much wiggle room, and a lot of times we've got this much. And this is governed by state law. Everything we do, that's the reason we've got a lawyer sitting in here, because what we do has to be done in accordance with the state law.
If we paid them 7% less, the state sends us, Mr. Burley said, they send us 99.9% of the teacher's salary. We wouldn't be able to accept that money from the state. We have to send it back to the state if the teachers take a cut. Our teachers in Emanuel County only get from the Board of Education, on average, about $400 a year. You multiply that times every teacher in the county, you're talking about less than $200,000. If we cut every dime.
I misunderstood a while ago when it was like $27 to $30 million.
Oh, that's state money. We can't cut state money. If we cut state money, which we can't legally, if we did, the state wouldn't send it to us. Only thing, if we could cut and not give teachers in this district a dime from this Board of Education, we would only, it'd be less than $200,000.
And some of the folks that were on an extended year, extended day contract, which was made up of local money, that has already been cut. We've already taken a portion of that, not 100% of that, but there's been a lot of that has been cut in the FY10 fiscal year, which we're in right now. If a person was on a 240-day contract, they may be on a 220 or 190 now.
There was a slide up there that said how much our millage rate gave to each student. Have you got that? Get the slide open? I mean, what was it, $462 per student is what comes from our tax rate?
Well, what he said a while ago was that one meal would generate $100 per FTE student.
You talking about this slide here?
That's what. He was asking how much. You were asking how much a meal generates per student.
Yes, sir.
It's right at $100.
Right at $100.
It's right at $100. One meal generates $430,000, and you have about 4,200 students. So it's roughly one meal is $100 per student.
So the bulk of our money comes from the state, right?
Again, the local ad valorem sales tax provides less than 15% of our operating budget.
So the big amount
of state and then the federal.
Our last year, 74% came from the state, 14% came from local, and 11% came from federal money in our budget last year. And to not to bring up furloughs again, but it's interesting, because I wouldn't have known this if I wouldn't have been in this position, but when we furloughed 3 days, we thought, great, we're going to save Emanuel County money. Well, then the state turned around and took that exact dollar amount back, just like what they're saying. So the 3-day furlough saved us $300,000, and the state took the $300,000 back.
It saved the state.
Yeah, we're saving the state money and not.
Right, it's saving the state and not.
That is exactly correct.
Exactly. So it's kind of a misconception.
And I do know of one system, that told the teachers they would furlough 2 days and they would pick up the other day. They weren't going to dock them but for 2 days of pay. State was going to dock them for 3 days of pay, and they were going to pay out of the county funds for one of those days. So they didn't dock the 2 days of furlough pay.
Does
And
the
we're
number of
furloughing.
students in the county have anything to do with our funding from the state?
Everything.
We got a lot of students in the county that we're not educating, that's going to private school. Why don't we count them too? We can't do that.
FTE, who wants to tell what an FTE is?
You can't count.
An FTE is a full-time equivalent student. Joint enrollment at the college or technical school, technical college is a good deal. But when the student, now I don't know today, in the past when the student went to Swansboro High School for 2 periods, for half the day essentially, and East Georgia College for half a day, it took him 2 days to make 1 day of the FTE camp.
And we're furloughing between
The state uses every angle they can to figure this thing as close as they can.
We're furloughing our teachers and everybody else between now and December. Not that I'm sitting here saying we're going to do that again, but we do anticipate there will probably be additional furlough days. Anyway, the problem is it's not really going to save local tax money.
For whatever type of operations you want. Yes, ma'am.
Burl, I just want to say that I am proud of our school system, and I'm proud of what we do for the children in this county. I was educated here, Bill was, and all 3 of our girls, and I just feel like that our teachers are, if anyone is underpaid, it's the teachers, because they have a big, big responsibility, and this is a hard time for them, and I know that most of the teachers, and I'm not a teacher, but I know that most of the teachers that were furloughed were out working in their classrooms, making sure that everything that could be done to make this school year a good school year and be ready for their students, they were there working. And I commend them and appreciate what they do, and I think that our teachers, our Board of Education, and our support staff, they need our support right now. We don't have to pay the tax. It's going to affect us just like everyone else, but it's a storm we've got to ride through, and I think it's something we've just got to be willing to do.
Well, and you know, I'll say this, you know, our system has some problems. But it's not broke. It's a system that has worked and done fairly well. But there's some tweaking that needs to be done, as always. And I'm not saying every decision we've ever made has been the right decision, but we spend time trying to make the best decision we as a board can make, I feel like. Again, some of these issues get very personal sometimes with people about things, and we try to look at it as objectively as we can. But that's, you know, personally, I think that's just mine. Would you like to speak, ma'am? You got 1 minute.
I'd like that put on record that my husband is discriminating against me. I want to echo what Linda said in that I sat the Swainsboro Middle School SACS review board when the Southern Association of Accreditation came through to accredit our system. And for those lay people, myself being one of them, who had a student at that school, every one of those people, when asked what's the strength of the Emanuel County school system, they said it's our people. And it is our people. And they are working just as hard as they can work and doing everything they know to do.